Regarding the 30-meter telescope contested case, as you know, it concluded in March.
The Mauna Kea Management Board met in Hilo on Tuesday.
And on July 26, the hearing officer submitted her findings of facts and conclusions of law, and she recommended that the permit be granted.
Office of Mauna Kea Management Director Stephanie Nagata gave her customary report at the start of the meeting.
All of the parties were given the opportunity to submit exceptions to the hearing officer's report.
Much of her report detailed the litany of lawsuits related to the mountains.
Following, actually prior to the land board's decision, several motions to stay were submitted to the land board, but they were subsequently denied because the motions were deemed to be premature. One motion was filed for reconsideration, which the land board denied. And following that final decision by the land board, appeals have been submitted to the Supreme Court by the parties opposing the permit. And we are now waiting for the process to move forward. Basically, all of the materials have to be transferred from the lower court, or from the BLNR to the Supreme Court, and at which time then the Supreme Court will then call for, probably for briefs. So it will be some time. The Flores versus the Board of Land and Natural Resources lawsuit. In May, Kalani Flores requested a transfer of his appeal from the Intermediate Court of Appeals to the Supreme Court, which the Supreme Court granted in this past June. The case has been fully briefed, and we are currently waiting for the Supreme Court to set a date for oral arguments. Flores' case appeal is about his request for a contested case regarding BLNR's granting a consent to the university to enter into a sublease agreement with 30-meter telescope International Observatory. As you probably all are aware, OHA has filed a lawsuit. They have filed a complaint for declaratory and injunctive relief, accounting, restitution, and damages against the state, University of Hawaii, Department of Land and Natural Resources, and others. The complaint was filed in Circuit Court on November 7, 2017, and to date, OHA has not yet served the university, and we are assuming that the other parties in the case have not been served as well. Some updates on Summit projects. The UH 2.2 meter repair and maintenance project is nearly complete. We are currently going through the punch list as we speak. And following that, I guess there may be some minor work that needs to be done to complete the project, but for all intents and purposes, that project is completed. This project involved the repainting of the dome, the replacing of the siding of the facility, as well as some internal upgrades to the electrical system. The IRTF dome refoil project got underway in August. This project involves removing the existing foil and resurfacing the dome with a new metallic foil. Hokusea Telescope, UH Hilo, will be issuing a request for proposals seeking bidders to remove the non-working telescope in the Hokusea Summit facility. It is anticipated that the RFQ may be coming out later this month or in early December, and they hope to have a contractor selected sometime in February. The court case involving graffiti in the Mauna Kea Science Reserve and the Mauna Kea Ice Age Natural Area Reserve, that case has gone to court. The individual suspected of the criminal property damage, namely defacing SMA property and some rocks in the Natural Area Reserve with graffiti, appeared in court on June 20th and for arraignment, and at which time Rangers Paiva, with the Hawaii County police officer as the witness, served the suspect with a notice of trespass. So she is barred from entering She is barred from entering the UH managed lands for 1 year. Court dates were set and subsequently canceled, so it has been deferred, and we have not yet heard when that new date will be set. 2 of OMKM Rangers have been called as witnesses for this case. Annual report to the Land Board. The annual report to the Land Board on the status of the implementation of the CMP was submitted in August. Most of our management actions are considered ongoing, meaning that these are part of OMKM's stewardship responsibilities on an ongoing basis, for which there is no end date unless the university and OMKM ceases management on the mountain. Many other management actions are considered to be as in progress, meaning these actions are currently being worked on. The environmental assessment for the ingress, egress, and parking project at the Visitor Information Station was filed and published in the OEQC environmental notice on August 23rd. No challenges, there were no legal challenges to FONSI, and so we are proceeding with moving this particular project forward with the Department of Land and Natural Resources. A Conservation District Use Permit application was filed with DLNR on November 20th. We anticipate that we hope to hear from OCCL or DLNR regarding the completeness of the application, which we hope will be in 30 days, following which the Land Board, the Department of Land and Natural Resources, and the Land Board will have 180 days to take action unless it is extended. Outreach. OMKM continues its outreach efforts to groups who are interested in learning about OMKM stewardship on Mauna Kea. Presentations have been made to various community groups, and we continue to do this. OMKM participated in a community event in Keaukaha showcasing Mauna Kea's unique biota and offering children's activities. I was invited to do an interview with Sherry Bracken on OMKM's management activities and other mountain-related matters. That interview aired on October 22nd on Lava 105.3, and it can also be heard on podcast on the station's website. OMKM provided background information on the current management structure, roles, and responsibilities of OMKM, MKMB, and Kahuku Mauna to Roy Takimoto, who is an executive assistant to Mayor Kim. Doug Simons and I hosted Representative Mark Nakashima, and we showed him a potential site west of Halepohaku as a potential area for a well-designed visitor center, and we also discussed with him the challenges UH faces in managing the mountain. OMKM, Imiloa, Mauna Kea Support Services, and Keck Observatory hosted the House Finance Committee in November, as well as some of their staff members. We showed them the same area that could be a potential site for a visitor center. Short presentations were given to them during lunch, followed by a tour of the Keck Observatory in the afternoon. I'm happy to announce that the Kona-Kohala Chamber of Commerce honored OMKM with its 2017 Pualu Award for Cultural Heritage. OMKM was recognized for its long-term monitoring plan, which provides action steps to monitor, protect, and preserve the more than 200 historic properties in the Science Reserve.
A prevailing concern for the Office of Mauna Kea Management is the stalled adoption of proposed administrative rules.
There has been, as far as we know, no movement on the rules.
Blame is being placed on Governor David Ige for the delay.
As far as we are aware, the last we have heard is that the governor requested the Board of Regents not to submit the draft rules to him for his consideration and approval to allow UH to hold public hearings on the draft rules. Rules would help facilitate OMKM in its management of some major issues on the mountain, such as access. We are obligated by law to make sure that our rules are consistent with DLNR's rules, and for us that would be the Forest Reserve as well as the Natural Area Reserves, which surrounds our property. And during that process, we took it out to open houses where the public was given an opportunity to review our rules. We also had short surveys that we had asked people who attended to participate. Based on the surveys, most agreed with our rules for basically because our rules are there to protect the resources as well as to ensure the safety of those visiting the mountains. Following that, we went through a final drafting. Following all the comments, we took into consideration the comments that were given by the public, and we did a final draft of the rules, which then we took to Kahuku Mauna for review, and following that we brought it to the Mauna Kea Management Board for its review, and a recommendation was given by this board that the Board of Regents adopt these rules and forward it to the governor for his authority to give the university the authority to take these out for public hearings. And as far as we know, an action memo was sent up to the Board of Regents office, but it was never agendized.
Any other questions, Greg or anyone? Okay. On the, yes?
Well, when the board members are done, I have a question.
Okay. On the matter of the rules, as I've been discussing, as I have discussed with some of you, you know, it's been a concern of ours, many of ours, in terms of how long these have been stalled at the governor's office. I have had a discussion with Stephanie that I'd like to put on the table for us to consider, and that is to make a request of the university seeking a legal opinion as to what can the Office of Mauna Kea Management legally do to enforce the principles and the intent of those rules in light of the fact that we actually don't have rules yet. So this would be, my request would be for us to issue a request to OGC, basically, asking for a legal opinion.
Could we also add a second part to that, in which, if we don't have the authority to enforce rules now, is they could give us a process by which we could enforce the rules. In other words, if we don't have the authority now, what will we have to do in order to get that authority? Short of having the entire rules, you know, sent out the notice by the governor.
Sure. I mean, I certainly wouldn't have any problems with that. Roger, Herring, you folks have any thoughts on requesting a legal opinion?
Even if we got enforcement to go up there, there's no rules for them to enforce it, can't charge them anything.
Sure.
Really, just
Sure. It might make it clear, though, to certain people in the public where the problem lies.
yeah, it would put pressure hopefully on the right people to make.
Which would be as valuable, in opinion. Regent Higaki or Regent Kudo, you folks have any comments?
I don't think there's any problem with that. I think that it probably is to the benefit of the board to have that at least in writing and a request and an answer, so that if that question ever pops up in the future, that you have something to rely on in regard to a legal opinion, provided it doesn't breach any kind of attorney-client privilege. But you can make that statement so that you're at least protected that you did ask and you got an answer for that.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you.
I agree with Regent Kudo. In addition, I would look at some avenue to request the regents, the board, for some additional help as well.
So could anybody from the public, the audience, want to comment on the matter of the rules? Okay, hearing none, could I get a motion to, that the Mauna Kea Management Board will be requesting a legal opinion from the Office of General Counsel at the University on what authorities we have in light of no rules existing, as well as a process for enforcement to the extent that this situation continues.
So moved.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. None opposed? Thank you.